Let's look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, the Detroit Lions have been a very injury-riddled team so far in the 2022 season. They have had many players go on the injury report and even more go on injured reserves. They have missed out on top pass rushers, they have missed out on top receivers, top cornerbacks. Pretty much every single week there has been a significant starter not playing due to a significant injury. And one of the big storylines of this season has been the injury report and has been the injury reserves, right? With first round pick Jameson Williams not being available to play until late in the season, with starting right guard Halapoulivaati Vaitai being put on the injury report very early in the season, actually before the first game was even played, with Romeo Okwara on the injury report, with Jerry Jacobs on the injury report, and then later in the season, players like DJ Chark being placed on the IR list because of his ankle injury. The Lions have not gotten to fully utilize all of the tools and all of the talent that they have on their roster and in their organization. But very recently, the Detroit Lions are getting some good news from the injury front. Not only is the injury report number going down with more players practicing and less players missing time, but two extremely significant players on this Detroit Lions team have now been designated to return from injury reserves and very well could be making their NFL, or very well could be making their season debuts against the New York Giants this Sunday. Now, first off, we're going to start talking about DJ Chark. DJ Chark, of course, being placed on injured reserve 4 weeks ago because of an ankle injury that kind of lingered with him for a few weeks prior to that. DJ Chark, in the first 3 games of the season, had 7 receptions for 98 yards and a touchdown, and really, was a factor in the offense, but wasn't necessarily the big play wide receiver everybody wanted him to be. And then after the Week 3 matchup versus Minnesota, the Detroit Lions unfortunately lost their starting wide receiver, right? DJ Chark struggled with an ankle injury for a couple of weeks, and then going into the bye, the Detroit Lions decided to place DJ Chark on injury reserves so that they could open up a roster spot and let their wide receiver heal. DJ Chark is now returning to the Detroit Lions active roster and did practice for the first time on Wednesday. DJ Chark, of course, was a big-time wide receiver acquisition in free agency, and like it or not, was a really big part of the offense early in the season. Even though the numbers may not tell you that he was the best wide receiver in the NFL, DJ Chark certainly had a role on this offense and was efficient when his number was called. Chark now returns to the Lions wide receiver core that last week posted and ended up starting Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kalif Raymond, and Tom Kennedy as their starting 3 wide receivers. With injuries at that position, including Jameson Williams himself as well as Josh Reynolds, the Lions wide receiving core has been extremely thin over the last couple of weeks, so welcoming back a 6'4", 4'3" wide receiver that can stretch the field and really, truly help Amon-Ra St. Brown by giving him an actual partner on the receiver side. All right, giving the defense another guy to actually worry about, takes pressure off Amon-Ra St. Brown, takes pressure off DeAndre Swift, and will help open up the offense in several ways going forward for the remainder of the season. Now, Jameson Williams, the 12th overall pick from this last draft class, is also designated, not necessarily to return yet, but we are getting some very encouraging and positive news from his front, saying that he will likely return to practice either this week or next week, and will likely make his NFL debut either on the Thanksgiving game versus the Bills or more likely on December 4th versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. We are likely 2 games away from seeing Jameson Williams take the field, and very well could see DJ Chark end up taking the field come Sunday in New York. But I think the biggest news from this week, and the most unexpected news from this week, comes from the other player activated from injury reserves, that of course being pass rusher Romeo Okwara. Now, Romeo Okwara has been a really good Detroit Lion for the last couple of years. Right, coming in under the Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia regime, I believe came in their first season as a head coach GM duo, and he played very well at 7.5 sacks for the Detroit Lions, had big expectations going into the next season, didn't quite live up to them, but the year after that had a 10-sack season as one of the top pass rushers in the NFL from a production standpoint. Now, Romeo Okwara came into 2021 with a really high set of standards, right? He was coming off a 10-sack season, just got a lot of money, got a big 3-year, $40 million contract. Romeo Okwara was to have high production, and although he was producing through his first 4 games, getting a lot of pressures and coming away with a singular sack through 3.5 games, Romeo Okwara, unfortunately, in week 4, ended up tearing and rupturing his Achilles, which kept him out of course, the remainder of the 2021 season, and up to this point has kept him out of the 2022 season. Romeo Okwara has been a really, really good Detroit Lion when he's been on the field. Easily the Lions' top pass rusher as far as production, and arguably their best defensive overall player through the last 4 seasons when he has been on the field. Now, Romeo Okwara has not played since that week 4 matchup versus the Chicago Bears. He has not taken the field. He has not rushed the passer. He has not even practiced on the football field since that injury occurred. But yesterday on Wednesday afternoon, while the Detroit Lions were activating DJ Chark, they also released a statement that Romeo Okwara, coming off his major Achilles injury, has officially returned to team practices and could potentially make his seasonal debut versus the New York Giants. Now, I would assume with a guy like Romeo Okwara coming in, maybe learning a newer defensive system, kind of, getting back up to NFL playing speed, I would expect him to either be severely limited versus the New York Giants or not play at all and wait until the Thanksgiving Day matchup to make his season debut. But Romeo Okwara is a huge acquisition for this team, and I genuinely could not be more excited to watch 95 take the field. Romeo Okwara has been one of my personal favorite Detroit Lions for the past couple of seasons. I think his story is very well. I think he plays really, really well. He is just overall a player that is really, really easy to root for. He has a good story. He has good production. He's a very good player, arguably the best player on the defense. And now you're bringing him back to a pass rush that has gotten better over the last couple of weeks, as Aiden Hutchinson has progressed, as Josh Paschal has progressed, as Julian Okwara is coming off a 2-sack game. Of course, Romeo's brother had multiple sacks versus the Chicago Bears a week ago. John Kaminsky and Isaiah Buggs and, of course, Aleem McNeil have all come together, and they have all grown this season as far as from a production standpoint. And now you're bringing back a guy that the last time we saw him on the field was a 10-sack type of player, and you're bringing back that player, adding him to Aiden Hutchinson. It's going to take all the double teams. It's going to take a lot of pressure off of Aiden Hutchinson. It's going to take pressure off Josh Paschal. It's going to take pressure off Kaminsky and Buggs and Aleem McNeil up the middle. And I do believe that the Detroit Lions are getting back a true star player in Romeo Okwara. And if the Detroit Lions go out, even if Chark and Romeo do not play this week, right, or even if they're severely limited this week and they only play 5% of offensive and defensive snaps, or they only get 3-4 snaps apiece, I do believe that the Detroit Lions are moving in a really, really good direction. And if the Lions somehow upset the New York Giants this week and then go into Thanksgiving next Thursday with, of course, a 3-game winning streak, and then you welcome back a healthy 100% Romeo Okwara, a healthy 100% DJ Chark, a healthy 100% Josh Reynolds, as well as a potential 50-75% Jameson Williams, who's going to get limited snaps maybe in that game, that team is going to compete with the Buffalo Bills on Thanksgiving. And if that team beats the New York Giants and welcomes back 4 legit starters and 3 really good starting caliber wide receivers, as well as a top pass rusher, there is no reason they cannot go through the remainder of the season defeating the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Minnesota Vikings, the Carolina Panthers, the Chicago Bears, and the Green Bay Packers. And at that point, I would not even count them out versus the New York Jets either. So as likely as it may have seemed 2 weeks ago, if the Lions make this upset, if the Lions cause an upset in New York and then welcome back 4 legitimate starting caliber players that are going to help this offense get better and help the defense get more pass rush, there is no reason the Lions cannot finish with 8 to 9 wins this season. There is no reason at this point, as crazy as it may seem, that the Lions cannot push for a wild card spot with 8 to 9 wins, right? If they win this game, and even if they don't, right, even if they lose a close one to New York and they lose a close one to Buffalo, right, they go in to the Jacksonville game 3-8. Right? There is no reason they cannot beat Jacksonville getting healthy. There's no reason they can't beat Minnesota and get to 5. There's no reason they can't beat Carolina and get to 6, and beat Chicago and Green Bay to get to 7 and 8 wins on the season. And there is no reason they cannot beat the New York Jets to make it 9. Now, obviously, the Lions likely will not go on some amazing run, and they will not win 9 in a row or 6 in a row after losing to the Bills and the Giants, but there is a chance. And if the Lions get to 4-6 this weekend versus the New York Giants, there is no reason the Lions cannot and should not be pushing for a legit wild card spot. They are a young, talented team who has improved every single week that they have been on the field. They are now learning how to win close games as a young, competitive football franchise. They are 2-0 in their last 2 games and 2-1 within their division. Their only divisional loss comes from a 4-point loss to the now 8-1 number 1 seeded Minnesota Vikings in the NFC, or I guess tied for the number 1 seed in the NFC. So there is legitimately no reason the Lions cannot go on a playoff run. There is no reason that this team can't continue to get up and move forward and grow and progress as a football team. If they beat the Giants, I think we will be talking about playoffs. If the Lions get to 4-6, if they're on a 3-game winning streak, coming off a huge victory versus a 7-2 New York Giants team, there is genuinely no reason the Lions cannot push for a playoff, welcoming back all of these players. So, with all that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. I mostly just wanted to update you on the injury reports, right? Jameson Williams, very close to making his NFL debut. DJ Chark, probably back this week a little bit, but if not, definitely back by Thanksgiving. And same thing with Romeo Okwara. The Lions are welcoming back players. They're welcoming back stars. They're welcoming back some of their top players that they have available. And the Lions are already on a roll. The Lions are already building confidence. They're already getting better, and they're already starting to win these close games. So now that they're learning how to win, now that they're getting confidence, now that this coaching staff is finding a way to put these players in good positions to succeed, why can't the Lions win more? Why shouldn't the Lions have expectations of going forward and winning 6 of their last 9 games? Why shouldn't the Lions go forward and activate Jameson Williams and DJ Chark and Romeo Okwara? And if Halapaloe Vaitai is good by the end of the season, which I think is unlikely but has not been ruled out, why not activate him? Why not try to overachieve and push for a playoff spot in your second year as the Detroit Lions head coach? But with all that being said, that's just how I see it. That's my opinion. Let me know how you guys see it down in the comments below. Let me know what player you're most excited to see back on the field for the Detroit Lions. I'd be very curious what you guys think about this whole situation. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions.